cry on my wife's shoulder, and I just figured, I've seen people go off the edge, and I thought, I cannot go there for the sake of my family. What good would it be if I just blow to pieces? So I came to America for a rest. I get it.
Welcome everybody. I shared a little introductory piece and I just want to play that for you. When I first came to this country, I didn't come here expecting revival. I came here as a burnt out minister, and the rest is history for those that know our story and what God has done through our ministry and our family. But I'd like you just to see a little highlight at the end of 20 years of revival in the Twin Cities. We were celebrated and we were given a sword and so forth, and appreciated by many ministries for the 20 years of service as a missionary to this country. And this was one of my introductory statements that I brought as I stood in front of that great crowd in Redeeming Love Church. We had several revivals in the Redeeming Love Church with a 10 crusade out the front of the church there. I think we had 1,000 or 1,100 seat tent, and wonderful times with Pastor Mike Smith. But let's go and have a look at this little bit of footage and just a little bit of a memoir of our time, 20 plus years that we put into the Twin Cities up to that time.
Cry on my wife's shoulder, and I just figured, I've seen people go off the edge, and I thought, I cannot go there for the sake of my family. What good would it be if I just blow to pieces? So I came to America for a rest. I get invited up to Minnesota for 3 days, and it ends up the rest of my life. And then we do 10 or 12 meetings a week. You know, you go from doing a few meetings a week and burn out, and the answer is, come over and do 10 or 12 meetings a week. And it's not just a meeting, it's like you start at 5 in the afternoon and you don't get home till 2 at night. And yet God healed me in the midst of all that. And most people didn't know that I was a burnout minister. Most people just saw what God was doing, and that's really hopefully what they still see today. But I want to tell you, I wasn't doing anything wrong or bad, I was just wrecked. And God used me in that low state that I was in. And so I know when I look at the least of you, the least that comes in my meetings, you know, Jesus left the 99, he went after the one. And I don't know what that means to you, but that means that God will not take a bruised reed or, you know, he will not snuff out that wick. He sees the potential in you like no one else possibly can. He believes in you. He'll never hurt you. He'll never lie to you. He will always uplift you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. He will never abandon you. He will never talk behind your back. He will never do anything that's going to put you down. He'll always do something that's going to lift you up. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and he's coming back soon for a church without spot or wrinkle or blemish. And so I'm pretty excited that we are part of that church. Just say, he's talking about me. Now turn to someone and say, he's talking about you.
That was a powerful meeting, and very appreciative. We were given a lot of accolades and a lot of appreciation. My whole family was on stage, and my extended family, and it was great for my family. My kids gave up a lot through that time, and it just hit me a little bit how much we gave up. We gave up our country, we gave up our nation, we gave up our family, our mums and dad Karen's mum and dad, and all my kids' cousins and all that. And it was just an amazing time to reflect back and realise that in eternity it will be worth it. Sometimes the cost down here that God's asking us to really relinquish or give up or not make a priority in our life. It's amazing how many people will not stand before God and accomplish what was potentially in their life. You know, when I said that God looks at you and even if you're broken and bruised or addicted or whatever it is, he's not going to throw you away. In fact, sometimes the more broken you are and the more devastation you've been through, if you reach out to God, you're more likely to know what you're saved from and what you're being saved into. And so there's this remarkable reality that sometimes the very worst things of life can lead to the very best things in life. It's the darkness of your life that sometimes makes the light more obvious. And, you know, I've often said down in the deepest darkness where it's pitch black, down in the mines, just a match or a candle can light up the whole cabin. And so sometimes when you've been through a lot and it's cost you a lot and you feel bad and you're self-condemned or whatever, when you realize that God will not throw you away, that God looks at you, he understands what you've been through, he knows the cost of what you've been through, and a bruised reed he'll not reject. You know, that means that you can be broken and you feel like you're not worth anything, there's only that little bit left or whatever, and God says, no, I'm not going to waste that. I can take that and multiply it and make it into something great. And so, you know, when I look back over now what is 28 years in America, and we're now on the ranch and we're doing different things, and we're still believing to touch people's lives, and I think there's still some revivals left in us. We have some invitations now where people are still open to break open and see something great happen beyond just a meeting or two. When I came to this country, everyone called a revival from Sunday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Sunday, and like just because you're doing 3 days of meetings instead of one, they called it a revival. It might be a terminology, but it's not revival. Revival is something beyond what you could hope for in a very good Holy Ghost meeting. It's like a supercharger on a car. It's like there's something that steps beyond what you even deem to be great, and it takes you beyond your mind and to the outer limits of your mind and your expectations, to where you just go, wow, this is God. It isn't just like good music, good preaching, good stuff, organized and planned and big names and all that. All of a sudden, the biggest name that everyone's celebrating and coming back night after night is the name that is above every other name. And that name, Jesus. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. Very shortly, he's coming back for a church. And he's coming back for a church without spot or blemish. He's coming back for the church that he has created, not what man has created or natural man's religion. And of course, it could incorporate all that in our bruising and our weakness and our searching. But eventually, it's not the beginning of a man or a woman that counts, it's the end. And so never stop seeking God. Seek for it like a treasure, like that pearl of great price, so that when you find it, really find it, you sell all that you have, at least, you know, in your heart. You let it go. And you go out and you use what you have to buy the field. I know what that means. I know every day when I get up, whether it's just building this center or this is like the 5th or 6th project of church or ministry center that we've built up from the ground or renovated. And this one's probably been the longest one. I don't have the help I'm used to in a big city. But every day I get up, and whatever I'm doing here, it's not for my pleasure. In fact, to be honest, there's a lot of days I wish I was somewhere else. But I know one day lives are going to be touched and changed, not just in the centre here, but because of the hardness and the trials you go through just in life. When I go out and preach in other cities and other places, God builds something richer in me that I didn't have before. I just endured every day for the sake of the kingdom. Jesus said, whatever you do in word or deed, do it in the name of Jesus. What that means is the very person, the very character of Christ in you, that he's being formed in you. And to be honest, it's the furnace of affliction where most transformation takes place. It's not in the good times of your life where the most things change in you for eternity. It's in the hard moments, and it's in the trials and the tribulations of life where you might have even felt like, God, where are you? But then you found he was there, that he never moved. You moved away from him, but then when you turned and you came back and you sought after him and you said, God, I'm sorry, and God, I'm sorry for thinking that somehow you've let bad things happen to me for no purpose, for no reason. But God, you work all things together for good, Romans 8:28, 29, so that we're called according to his purpose, so that we can lay hold of what he laid hold of us for. And so I encourage you, brothers and sisters. I've been sharing different videos, and I just came across this little one on one of my YouTube sites, and I will put this on my new YouTube channel that eventually has got a lot of shorter teachings, not the full 6-hour revival meetings or whatever we've done in the past, but just so that you can capture, and I'm hoping to title them, I'm hoping to reach my audience. I've let a lot of the audience go over the years without having revivals, with handing them over, with going away and living in the bush. But I want to reach people. I want you to share this if it's a blessing to you, and I want you to come back and keep looking, and thank you those who support us. And there's a few of you that financially support, even while we're away, when we're not in your local town, when people sometimes, I guess, they just remember what God did through our ministry because of the coincidence of us all coming together at various locations around our world. And I know I will be eternally grateful for what God did in your life, as you will, but I'll be eternally grateful that as he used us to touch other people's lives, he changed us. I mean, my wife tonight is out in another meeting, touching and reaching people even while I'm doing this, because that's her heart. I mean, when I married her, that wasn't there. I mean, anyone who knows our story, that wasn't there. But it's become real to my wife. It's become real, I guess, more real to both of us, so that every day we discuss how we can be most useful for God in any moment, and even that which is left of our life. How can we go harder for God? How can we be more fruitful? Not necessarily bigger meetings or better, but how can we unleash the richness of his greatness in other people's lives? And I hope that's what we're doing in these messages each night. So I'm going to release this now, and just hope that it was a blessing to you. I guess this was about 7 years ago now. I think it was after 20 years of being here, and we've been here nearly on 28, and we haven't stopped doing things even in the Twin Cities. But I hope you can just be blessed as you, if I can get this working again, get out of the way. No, maybe I won't. I think I lost it. But anyway, as we get hold of things, I'm still trying to work out the technical things that I have here. Maybe it's this one. Let's have a quick look at this, and for those that came in late, maybe you'll get a gist of what I was talking about.
And emotionally cry on my wife's shoulder, and I just figured, I've seen people go off the edge, and I thought, I cannot go there for the sake of my family. What good would it be if I just blow to pieces? So I came to America for a rest. I get invited up to Minnesota for 3 days, and it ends up the rest of my life. And most people didn't know that I was a burnt-out minister. Most people just saw what God was doing, and that's really, hopefully, what they still see today. But I want to tell you, I wasn't doing anything wrong or bad. I was just wrecked. And God used me in that low state that I was in. And so I know when I look at the least of you, the least that comes in my meetings, Jesus left the 99, he went after the one. And I don't know what that means to you, but that means that God will not take a bruised reed, or, he will not snuff out that wick. He sees the potential in you like no one else possibly can. He believes in you. He'll never hurt you. He'll never lie to you. He will always uplift you. He will never leave you. He will never forsake you. He will never abandon you. He will never talk behind your back. He will never do anything that's going to put you down. He'll always do something that's going to lift you up. He is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and He's coming back soon for a church without spot or wrinkle or blemish. And so I'm pretty excited that we are part of that church. Just say, He's talking about me. Now turn to someone and say, He's talking about you.
He's talking about you. And so I just want to encourage you today as we come to a close that He is the Lord of Lords and He is the King of Kings, and He is coming back soon, and He's coming back for that beautiful church that He sees, that He's created. So let go of all your fleshy, natural, selfish things, as good as they may feel and do, and make sure it costs you something, and every day find what it is to lay down your life for Him, so that in some way He'll use you to touch other people's lives. So God bless you. Thanks for joining us tonight, and I just appreciate this opportunity to come into your house, your office, your car, wherever you're listening to me, anywhere in the world. And again, I encourage you, please share this. Thank you for your prayers and for your encouragement. We'll be back soon. God bless you. Bye for now. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back soon. Bye for now. God bless you.